And there'll be 14 other bills that we will have hearings on, and at the appropriate time, I'll ask that those bills be held for further study. Which brings us to the, sponsored by Representative Diaz, 5309. It imposes a moratorium of non-essential evictions / mortgage foreclosures during a state of emergency declared by the governor, and establishes an eviction diversion program to resolve landlord-tenant eviction disputes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all members of the Judiciary Committee. I'm very pleased to introduce House Bill 5309. And the reason is because the bill is addressing the situation for tenants and landlords during emergency time. We all know that many people who live in apartments facing the difficult time to lose the job, living on their unemployment benefit, or some don't have anything. In moment of crisis, Rhode Island always identify as a big good neighbor and supporting people. But at the same time, the bill is not putting at risk landlords, because also we know in recognizing that landlords need to pay the mortgage. So the bill is addressing the two situations. As the law of Rhode Island is, before the COVID crisis arrived, when tenants refuse to pay the rent, they have to go to court and face the eviction and the process of that. Sometimes, maybe that process takes a couple of months. And some are irresponsible tenants, because we have both in good tenants, bad landlords, good landlords, bad landlords. So sometimes, during those processes in the past, landlord lost a lot of funding and probably risk to losing their property because they don't receive a rent and they don't pay mortgage. What the bill does is designating a person. The person will be designated by the district housing court. And that individual, which is the designated housing mediator, will be acting between the tenant and the landlord to mediate in the situation that created by the emergency situation. One of the greatest skills the person is designated as a mediator is to have a knowledge about housing code, housing obligation for both ends, have the ability to reconcile tenants and landlord, be the mediator between the court and them. So different than before, as I mentioned, right now under this bill, the landlord had the great opportunity to have somebody mediating between tenants and them. And that's just great, because through that, also the mediator have access to information and resources to provide to tenants to pay for those times that they're not receiving any unemployment or income. So the Rhode Island Housing have the resources for tenant assistance program to be sure those funding will be available to the mediator who we working with both in. So I'm very pleased to introduce this bill because it's a way to save money for landlord and save time. I say saving money because in the past they had to go to court to pay the fee, to go the process. Right now they're dealing with one person that they can see all the time. The person can mediate it between and figure it out how they accomplish the goal to landlord get paid and the tenant is still in the house. That is why I'm so excited about this bill, because it's reducing friction, provide resources, provide information. This week, I received so many phone calls from individuals, from landlords, concerning about the bill. If you read the bill, in the first page of the bill say, during emergency time. It's now that the law is allowing tenants to take an advantage. If the tenant refuses to pay, it's nothing in the bill saying that you decided not to pay and you're receiving income. This bill is not protecting them. It's for those who living the experience not to have any income due to the COVID or any big emergency that the state can face. Again, this bill is just putting somebody between tenants and landlord. And the great part also is to addressing the issue that mortgages are putting it into landlords in fee for late payment or facing foreclosure. Also, this bill addresses those two parts. So it's a win-win for tenant and landlord, and only finishing my presentation by saying, if you have a problem, call Grace Diaz, 401-575-3641. Because I'm proud of this bill, it's because we put in person, reducing fee for the court, having somebody the tenant can refer to get it, resources, and get the landlord secure the property by not imposing any abuse fee or foreclosure. So it's a win-win, and I want this committee have the courage, like me, to help people during the emergency time. So thank you, and I'm ready for take any question.
Any questions of the sponsor?
I love to see Mr. Knight say no.
Thank you very much, Grace.